Okay, so I'm on my way into Dalton for this filming, and I'd left from a funeral. There's been a lot that's been going on, at the school because of everything, and so
Yeah.
my brain hasn't been in its right frame of mind normally, like it normally is, which isn't totally the right frame of mind typically, but I'm better than I normally am this past couple of weeks. But I drive all the way into Dalton, and I didn't leave from the Tennessee area that I was in until like about 8 o'clock at night almost. Well, it's a 4-hour drive. Well, there's a time change too.
Yep.
It comes into Eastern. So it said I would not get in until 1:30 in the morning. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I'm a night owl. I drive all the way into the hotel. I get out and I didn't stop one time. So I'm like, I'm ready to get into the room and just unpack everything. But I learned when you go to a hotel, you always stop at the front desk first before you get anything out.
Okay.
And this is exactly why you do this, because it almost actually had to be enacted. The hotel I always stay in over here is a home too. And I walk in and I told the lady, yeah, I've got a reservation for Clark with an E. And she started looking and she said, I'm not seeing you. And I said, I'm positive I have a reservation.
Right.
And she started to go, what's the first name? I said, Michael. And she said, no. And I said, well, and so I pull out my phone and I start opening up the app and I notice it says Sunday through Friday, not Saturday through Friday.
Yep.
I had misread the time. And so I said, oh, no. And she was telling me before that had happened, she goes, we're really full this week. And I'm thinking, great. There's not going to be any way that they can fit me into a room tonight. So I'm going to have to go and get another room, unload everything I got to unload for one night, and then pack everything up, which is a hassle.
Right.
Because I have stuff we've been working on, different parts of the stuff with the work for the school. I'm teaching in the graduate program. I have a bunch of stuff I got to bring in now. And I didn't want to have to get everything out and then bring it right back out into the car. And so she said, but we can put you in a room. It's on the tail end of the hotel. And this home two is one of the longest home twos I've ever stayed in because it's only 2 floors. Okay. I don't know if that was on purpose or if it just the way it worked out, but I'm in room 240. It's a long walk down there. So by the time I got everything going and unpacked, it was like 2:45 in the morning before I'm crawling into bed. I forgot to set an alarm.
So you overslept.
So I wake up to, and I'm like, what is that? The guy goes, housekeeping. Because the way they do this, if you check in a day early than you're supposed to, they have to check you out and back in the next day.
Okay.
I don't know why the system's set up that way, but they do. So it had said I'd checked out, and it was like 10:45 in the morning. And so it was about 11 a.m.
11 though?
It's about 11 a.m.
Yeah,
They'll knock at 9 a.m. I had one person knock at 8:30 while I was in the shower. And I'm yelling, I'm in the shower. So it's like, it's awkward. And so I got out of bed and I'm groggy. And he goes, you've checked out. And I said, no, I'm checking back in today. And I was like, okay, what time is it? And I was like, it's 10:45 in the morning. I knew I wasn't making it anywhere. And I looked up service times in the area and service times everywhere else. And I was like, it's all, they're going right now.
Yeah. So
I had Lord's Supper in the car. I had a communion packet in the car. And I went down to the car and I got it and I showered real quick and I watched online.
Wow.
But it was a brutal experience that I've never had happen until then, that I've gotten there a day early.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky. But I knew if I unloaded everything, she was going to say, we can't take you tonight. You'll have to come back tomorrow. Then I have to put it all back in the car. For those of you watching, this is Did That Really Happen? This is Epifano Carranza. He's our guest today. And this is my friend Wayne. He's also known as the Honesty Auditor because the phrase, if I'm being honest, makes him cringe. So we're going to tell some stories. We're going to have some fun. And we've got Epifano here to tell us some of the things that have happened to him. Wayne, you chime in if you've got anything you want to say. And I've got some stories as well that I'll talk about. But Epifano, why don't you go ahead and get us started with anything that you feel comfortable saying.
Okay. Well, let me say this. I forgot we were completely rolling right now. So that's pretty funny.
That's exactly
so it's like,
that's the hope.
Like,
that's right.
I'm all in. I'm waiting for Adam to say start.
That's
go ahead. So
that's the hope.
No, the first thing, it happened when we were at Memphis and we were on a campaign and we were in Missouri. And obviously it's a small town in Missouri, so I don't expect it to be very diverse. And so we're doing the door knocking, getting ready for, the I guess the meeting that we're going to have at the congregation. And it's me and Drake Pogue. So Drake can attest to this, right? So we're walking through people's yards, doing the door knocking, and then I'm with Eric, and he gets a phone call, from his wife. And she says, "Hey, where are y'all right now?" And he tells her our location or whatever. We just got a phone call in about a Hispanic with tattoos walking through people's yards, and the people feel unsafe. and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's Epifano." So it's like, so I mean, when you think about it, that's my first experience in Missouri at all.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty.
Had the cops called.
Now they didn't come out; they were just notified. I think dispatch and everybody said, "Hey, it's fine." They're with the church or whatever. But it was, yeah. And so Eric was like, "You're riding with me." And so I'm like, "All right, let's go." So that was one thing, and that was a unique experience because that was my first campaign ever, and so there were many firsts on that trip. And so Cody was with us and everything, and he got a kick out of it. So, yeah. I mean, and you can, we have stories like that at Memphis, and but I do want to say something because this has really been on my mind. I still haven't let this go. This happened this past Sunday, and we were talking about it. But so we're getting ready for, we're taking the Lord's Supper. We have the man that's presiding over the Lord's table, and he blesses, says a prayer for the bread. And I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. It's like that idea of like, when a receiver drops the ball because they're trying to take off running.
Yeah.
Right. Without catching.
Yep.
And so I see myself putting the bread in my mouth, but I don't. And so I'm sitting there. Is this okay? I'm leaning forward, right? So anyway, sorry. That's pretty funny. And
Did that really happen?
That really happened. And so I'm putting the bread, reaching to put the bread in and it falls. And, I look down and I'm thinking, I'm hoping it's just right there. No, it falls and it bounces all the way back to where Charlie's sitting. So I can see the bread right there and I can't reach it. And so the funny thing about all this is my wife is sitting next to me and then our oldest son, Nicholas, and they're looking at me like,
"What you gonna do, Dad?
What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, my heart is pounding so fast. I'm thinking, my worship is not going to be acceptable. It's like all these things are going through my head.
Forward.
It's like, I mean, so they're like, and Karen's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, relax. Don't make a scene. And so, but that it gets worse, right? So I'm like,
of course.
I'm thinking like, okay, once I'll take the juice, I'll take the fruit of the vine, and say the prayer for that, and once that's done, because I know they're going to do the giving, right? And so I'll just slip on back and go grab a piece of bread and partake of that. So when I get up, I'm thinking, okay, I have enough time. No, who said the prayer? I can't remember who said the prayer. Anyway, long story short, when I get up, he's saying it, but I'm walking back and he's like, "Please pray." So I'm walking back during the prayer. And so I can't do nothing but obviously stop. I stop in the middle of the aisle. I bow my head, say the prayer, and then I go back. So it's like this walk of shame that's lasting for it feels like it's lasting for 30 minutes, but it was like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
feels forever.
And so like Karen and I were talking about it, like, how do you do that? I said, well, so now this led me to go do a study on the Lord's Supper, the observance, how do we do it? So I'm like, I got to get this all together. So I'm like, I mean, but I'm sure I'm not the only person that's ever happened to, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I just thought it was very, and I don't want to make something so reverent as the Lord's Supper, but you got to think about it. Things happen like this all the time, and it's okay, like when we're in worship services, it's okay to be human.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, well, because we are, right?
So we are, right.
Stuff is going to happen.
I'm sure someone had to have, in the first century, dropped some unleavened bread onto a dirty floor in a home somewhere.
And
it had to have
happened. That means they dropped the whole loaf. They're passing it around, breaking a piece
off.
And
then what do you do? Give me 5 minutes, I'll make some more.
You know how long it took to make that loaf?
Right. So it's like, I'm on a fixed income.
5 second rule. 5 second rule.
But you said, you don't want to be irreverent. This was brutal and I might have told this before, but it's been a long time. I don't expect anybody remembers it. Back when the AirTags first came out, I was like, I'm not going to spend $100 to buy 4 AirTags. I can get, $35 and get a set of some that'll clip to my phone and my keys and all that, whatever, just as easily. So I did. And the thing that I bought, I don't remember what it was, but if you pressed the button long enough, it would start playing a sound. It's during the Lord's Supper. And just like you said a second ago, I leaned forward to bow, and my elbow hit my key, and that thing just perfectly. And right as they said, let us pray for the bread. Father, we are so thankful for your broken body. Just going off loud. And I'm going, no, because it's obvious. Preachers usually sit near the front.
Right.
And so I'm like, it's obvious it's me.
Yeah.
And then you have to take it out to like hold it down to turn it off.
Right.
And so I'm fumbling for my key. I can't get to my keys, and I'm trying to hold it down. And everybody in there you can feel is just staring at the back of your head.
Off. Can you not turn it off?
And so I got up during the prayer because they like stopped for a second. I got up and left, and I took the Lord's Supper in shame in the back of the building that day.
How red were you?
Like, probably like about as maroon as your sweater there. I was not having a good day with that one.
This we had this was years ago. It didn't happen to me, but I was sitting all the way up front. We had one of those long auditoriums, maybe not quite as long as East Ridge, but I mean it was deep. And I'm all the way at the front and everything, but it's time for the Lord's Supper, and so it's one of those moments in between a prayer. Everything's real quiet, and I hear, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
That's not your ringtone?
It wasn't mine.
Oh, okay.
It was not mine. But all the way in the very back, we had a lady who was a police officer, and that was hers, and she was on duty, and so she had not turned her phone down. And
wow.
And I think
is that what they play when crime's committed, just over the radio?
Just that's absolutely,
anthem, man.
That's
the anthem.
That is the anthem for every police officer, right?
Wow.
And so the bad thing is, and of course she was just mortified that it happened to her. She's like, she's reaching for it, and everything, and everybody's like turning, looking behind them to see her, and I knew exactly who it was, but on another time, her radio just went off. She didn't turn it down, because she has it right there too, And
what was the call?
Huh?
Possible homicide.
I don't know, man. But, it happens. Then you just try to collect yourself and go about your business and do the best you can. So,
well, and I think that's I think that for anybody watching who's going to be watching this, these stories are always funny when they happen to someone else. Right. And you think, oh, that'll never happen to me. It's like, I've done this, we've done this 1,000 times. And so, I'm telling you, I was sweating, I was panicking, and when you do walk down that aisle, Adam can attest to this too, in East Ridge, it feels like forever, at least for me, because I sit in the front, I sit right there with the youth.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting like maybe 4 rows from the front. And I'm like, I got to take this hike all the way back, and people are staring. And I'm like,
it's a pretty long auditorium.
Yeah. It is pretty long, right?
Need some side doors to slip out.
Yeah. But, so if you're ever designing a new building, side doors. They are your friend. Yeah. I remember, I think I've told this one too, but it just always makes me laugh. Dad was preaching somewhere, and we got there, and the preacher was talking to us, and we hear singing. And we were like, did they have like a singing beforehand, and we look at the time, and it's worship time. Like, it's Wednesday night service. It's time to go. And so Dad's like, do we need to go? And he goes, oh, we're fine. Right. Dad's like, well, I'd kind of like to worship. Right. And he goes, well, it's fine. We're going to go back. So Dad said to me and Mom, he's go, why don't you guys go sit down, and I'll meet you in a minute. He never showed. And Mom and I are starting to get a little nervous because we had never been to this congregation before. We're like, where is he?
Right.
And my dad's not going to miss intentionally.
Right.
Well, this preacher apparently would not let him leave. When we left, he's like, do you want a Diet Coke or something? Right. And so they're talking, and Dad finally says, I'd really like to get in there. And he goes, okay, follow me. And he had this secret passageway when they redid the auditorium built from his office to the stage
What?
Because the guy in the singing says, song before the lesson is, and we're really starting to panic because the lesson, the guy that's supposed to do it is nowhere to be seen.
Right.
And as the song is being sung, these doors open.
Wow.
And the passageway apparently dissected off into 2 different channels. He told Dad, he said, follow that hallway down to the end. The doors will open and you just meet me on stage. And Dad was like, okay. So Dad's face was priceless. He's walking in and we're looking at him. He's like, don't look at me. Like, you can tell.
Look away.
And so we get in the car and Mom goes, what was that? And he goes, I don't know, but it was the strangest thing that's ever happened because it was the final verse of the song before I'm supposed to speak that those doors just like opened.
Wow.
And then I'm walking out on stage. And so, don't go that far, but build some side doors because it would be helpful.
Well, I'll tell you this. So talking about timing and stuff. So when we graduate Memphis from the school in 2022, like I wish I would have known this, but so we graduate on Sunday, right?
Yeah, always on Father's Day.
Yeah, always on Father's Day,
Yeah.
right? And so I start work down there the next day, right? So I'm there, and first Sunday as a preacher there in Texas, morning sermon goes well, everything's great. We get to meet congregation, everything's great. And so we go back. We're staying in the parsonage, right across the parking lot. And so we're so used to Forest Hill evening service time, all right? So you know where I'm going with this. And so we're sitting there, and I'm sitting there in the recliner watching. I think there's a football game on. I think there was a football game going on, yeah. Or no, not football game because football season hasn't started. But
Sure.
I'm watching TV anyway, and I'm like, Karen's like, "Hey, we have to go back to services." I'm like, "No, it doesn't start till 7, so we'll find. We got a whole hour, right? A little more than an hour." And all of a sudden, we hear, "Epifano, are you in there?" And I'm like, "Who is that?" And it's one of the members from the church. And she's like, "Hey, we start services at 6." And I'm like, "No." She was like, "Yeah." So we're over there singing. So hurry up and get ready so you can come over. So talk about walks of shame. Like, you know what I mean? Like my first Sunday there, I'm sitting there, they're all singing and we walk in and I made my whole family take the walk of shame. Right. So,
Yeah.
And they're like,
was your sermon that night on dedication?
No.
Because that would have been hilarious if you get up tonight. I want to talk about attendance.
Yeah, I should talk about appointments, right, or something, But
we all have an appointment.
Yeah, it's like we all have stories like that. But then again, here at Eastridge, same thing. I thought I was going to make that mistake just once in my preaching career, but no, it happened here at Eastridge too.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking service is going to start at 7 on Sunday night. It starts at 6. And so it's like 6:24. And I text one of the elders and I'm like, "Hey, we'll be there, right? Service starts at 7, we'll be there, right? Right before it starts." And he was like, "What?"
Like, do you have a time machine?
It's like, no, services start at 6. And so we're walking in 30 minutes past. And I'm like,
did you preach that night?
I didn't preach that
That's
night, but I didn't. So good thing is so here's one of the advantages to having a long, aisle or whatever is like, and having the big church building is like, we went in and we sat in the back.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have to worry about taking that walk of shame that time. But late again, it's
you tell people at the end of the day that I just want to be in the back so I could shake your hand.
Yeah.
Make sure I didn't miss you.
Well, and then everybody says, "Well, glad to see you backsliding," right? So it's like,
yeah, that's right.
So,
you can't win.
You can't win.
So I was at a home too in Cookeville. It was late as normal. It was 12:30 in the morning, and I was just getting there to check in, and there's this long line. I mean, just like long line. Guy was understaffed that night. The hotel, just didn't have everybody they needed. And this guy comes out of the elevator, and he starts shopping at the sweet shop they've got there. And I think, okay, well, he'll just have to wait in line. Like the line, I'm all the way back here. Line's the line. Like,
right.
He starts like loading up on stuff. And then he looks off into the distance to nobody and goes, shh. Then he disappeared. So he robbed the Home 2 sweet shop.
Wow.
And then went back up to his room And so it finally got to me and I said, I don't know what room they're in. Obviously, I said, if I did, I'd tell you. But there was a guy that came down here and he took like 5 or 6 bags of chips and some donuts and some other things. And he walked back up to his room. So I said, if you tomorrow, the housekeepers notice a bunch of bags of chips in one room, like you might want to charge that to his room because he was like, oh, it happened again. I'm like, how many times does this happen?
It's got to happen all the time.
It's going to turn into in the deep parts of certain parts of the country that are not very safe. You know how you know it's bad? If you walk into a Walmart and the razors are behind lock and key.
Oh, yeah.
Or the deodorant is behind lock and key. I've seen that too. And I'm thinking, who is stealing deodorant to the point that they're like, we really ought to lock this up. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Surprised they didn't get you for being an accomplice. Like, you knew about it.
Well, so I was like, I wanted to just start screaming out, hey! But the guy had left to go upstairs to help another guest. So he wasn't even on the floor.
Wow.
And so that's why the guy felt comfortable to do it. But
wow.
One thing I wanted to remind Epifano about, we talked about a little bit before we started recording. One thing that I think makes the Memphis School of Preaching unique is the Denominational Doctrines 1 class. Denominational Doctrines 1 and 2. Second one is also unique because that's where you do the binder and the pre-mill binder. And that's a beast in and of itself of an assignment. But that's the first class right there, representative of the first class. It was back in 1987. When he first did the pre-mill binder. What year was it actually? 09?
Graduated in 09.
So about 2008.
I was like, really? I'm so gullible. I'm like, 1987? Really?
Can't you tell? No.
Started preaching in 96, the end of 96, by the way, so calm down.
Yeah.
In the Denominational Doctrines 1 class, though, did y'all debate?
Yes, we debated.
Okay, so
Brother Elkins.
We did not debate that year for whatever reason. It just didn't happen. But you mock debate a classmate. Mm-hmm. Now, those are legendary stories that can be told because somebody has to take the side of truth. Somebody has to take the side of error. Whoever gets error always has the easiest job.
Right.
All you have to do is get up and say whatever comes to mind, and you research it. Sure, you want to know what they believe, but you don't have to worry as much as if you have the truth side. If you've got the truth side, you've got to be prepared for everything.
Right.
And so one thing we love, Dad and myself, is when he's the teacher of the class, when there is an odd number of students, we get to debate one of the students. And there's so many stories I could tell. I'll say this one because the first time it ever happened, I think I've talked about this before, but I won't go into all the details of it, but he was debating one of the interns at Somerville. And so Ryan and I, we came up to watch the debate. He thought we were there for him. We were not. We were there for Dad. Right. And we had told each other on the way in, we're like, we're gonna support Dad. And he was debating him on, does the Spirit guide me in my everyday life? So Dad dressed way out of sync, like nothing matched. And he said from the pulpit there, he goes, the Spirit told me what to wear today. And you could tell the student he was debating was just like, what do I say to that? And so he was not expecting it. But at one point, Dad said something and me and Ryan both go, amen. And he looks at us like, you too? He was so upset. So that's kind of the history of it. Well, now that I work for the school, I get to be Dad's chart man. And so Dad debated Josh Walker. Yep. You remember that.
Oh, man.
Tell me what you remember about that as far as some of the things that struck you, because we have fun with it, and it's always in good fun, but that was one of my favorites that we've ever done.
Well, first of all, let me say this. Brother Clark is a great debater to begin with, right? He takes a great stand on truth, but when he gets a chance to have a mock debate on the side of error, I mean, I'm telling you, you won't find a better opponent or better, you know what I mean? So like, he goes all in. He's all in. And so I don't think I've ever laughed that much at the school. Than that time during that debate. And so obviously he's debating a topic that is very, very controversial in so many ways. And so, but it was like, Brother Clark pulled no punches. I mean, pulled no punches. And then talking about accomplices over here, right? So it's like he had Michael, help him. Well, did y'all put all that together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because so we had a pink presentation. We were debating women preaching, and we had a pink presentation. And Dad goes, pink. I was like, we've got to take the side. Like, we've got to be so on board. And so Dad he's always Dr. Benjamin, Clark or whatever is his alter ego that he debates as. And so he had Josh put down his credentials for the debate. And Josh did not think about how Dad would twist anything against him.
He hasn't graduated yet, right?
He wrote graduate of the Memphis School of Preaching. And Dad went to town on that. He goes, "Oh, you're a graduate of the school? Present your diploma." And Josh was like, "What?"
I haven't graduated yet.
And he said, "But look at this." And so every time we do this, we'll have it like the picture is just zoomed out first, and then I'll click and it'll like zoom way in. And so it zooms way in on him and it says graduate of MSOP. And then I do the next slide and it circles it. I do the next slide and it highlights it. And he goes, "So how can we trust anything you say when you'll lie about whether you're a graduate?" And then that was back when y'all had a 9-member class, partly because of COVID.
Right.
And so he was like, "What can we do to try to like pretend I'm more prestigious than he is?"
Right.
And I said, "Well, I've got this picture of Josh when he was teaching Isaiah, and the only person in the frame is Matt Sloan and Josh."
Right.
And so I said, "It looks kind of pitiful."
One student.
And so Dad said, "Yes, put that in there." And then we got a picture from Canva of like Oxford University, a full lecture hall. And Dad goes, "These are who I lectured to." And we put that up there, 100,000 people or whatever. And then he goes, "And here's your Pee-wee preacher school." And it's just Josh and Matt. And Josh is sitting there in disbelief.
But then y'all have like Disney too.
We had Disney movies, all the women movies and how much money they made at the box office. And we said, "See, there's nothing wrong with women being in the lead." Wonder Woman made $459 million or whatever.
It was insane. I mean,
Jackie was in there too. Do you remember?
Jackie felt, you can see. So that was, I think some of the funniest stuff is there seeing people's reactions to all this, right? So like Josh's reaction to when Brother Clark got him all, "You're not graduate yet," Josh was like, like you can see it's like, really? Like that's love. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't expect that. You know what I mean? And so, and then Jackie's back there and she, her and Josh have a great relationship. So she can see in her eyes, she's just feeling for Josh right now. She's like, let him alone. Let him alone already. You know what I mean? Like,
when we got to the conclusion of the debate, we had one final stop that we pulled out that was hilarious. And it was just something that, ask me sometime, I'll tell you. But we did that, and I heard Jackie audibly go, "Oh no!" Just like, yes, that's what's going to happen. So it's so much fun though, because you got to learn how to debate. And some of the craziest things that I've ever dealt with in ministry have been positions that people have ended up taking about certain things. So there's always something to be learned, and the on the job training. I always ask Dad every year, "Do we have an odd number in the class?" And so we look forward to that.
Can we get rid of somebody so we can have an odd number?
That's right.
Just wait long enough. Somebody will leave.
Somebody will drop.
That's right. Someone will go. But we're thankful for you guys being with us on the episode today. We'll be back next Tuesday with more Before the Pulpit, and then again on Thursday with more Did That Really Happen? Thanks again to House, Heart Studios and the Memphis School of Preaching. Take care, and God bless.